911 on location of your emergency.
Breaking news out of North Idaho. Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road.
Is she breathing?
No.
So 5'10", all black. Could you see what color his eyebrows were or anything like that?
No, I don't remember what his eyes look like either.
Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves, but no weapon has been located at this time.
Arrested. That's 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger in custody today.
The Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false.
We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Everything is alleged. Well, hello. Okay. I don't even know what to think anymore because Cyril, I think he has to be having a midlife crisis. Has he bought a red Corvette? Does anybody know? Something is wrong with this man. There is no way that he's going to sit out here and say some crazy ass shit like what he just said last night and then be like, but I think if they sit back and look at all of the information gathered, they will find. Show us your proof, Cyril. Show us what you are claiming you've already put together in order for you to be out here running your face off. Show us your little map. Show us what you've already got. You're already out here trying to save face as much as humanly possible. At least make it worth everyone's while. Because right now, you're just blowing smoke. Where's the fire? Show me the map. This was ridiculous. So if you guys were here in last night's live, this isn't new to you, but the information that came out in the extended version on YouTube was new to you. And I do find it really interesting that they didn't play this very specific part in the clip that they chose to put on Twitter yesterday. So that's why, after hearing the rest of it, I decided to push back the Netflix marathon bullshit a couple of hours. I know already from the comments that it's not good. I know already from the comments that people are upset about it not being accurate, that it's bad. I don't know. I haven't heard a single nothing. Okay, I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to listen to this now because I don't understand how he can be coming out here and saying all of this. Well, can I go ahead and turn this off? Eek! I really wanted some sunlight, but it's like making me look crazy. Can I balance myself? Oh my gosh, I'm going to blind you all with my whiteness. Oh, well. He's literally coming out here and saying shit that makes no sense. I don't care what anybody says about it. And then to say, this is the kicker here. And then to say, well, I told the defense team that the best thing that could have happened to Bryan is that the other side didn't reach out to us to help in this case. If you have information that proves something and you've given your information to the prosecution and you have this like moral obligation to do the right thing, why are you not on a side whatsoever? Why aren't you just entering your information as somebody who saw the information, come out and say, hey, I was brought in by the defense, but I cannot sit here and stay working for the defense side after going in and doing my own research. I do not believe that this man is innocent. I have proof with my own technology that I used to map his location, that he was in the area that night, that he was even on the property. I can prove it. Here you go. Why didn't that happen? Why is he instead the only one that Ann Taylor is not yelling at for coming out here and talking, if you've noticed? And he's saying the exact opposite of the shit that just came out in his report 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago! What is happening? What is happening? I don't understand what is happening. I don't understand. And we haven't even gotten to crack open the first page of that piece of shit book either. We paid $95 for that damn thing. And we haven't even gotten the chance to touch it. And just because he's doing all this shit does not mean that's not going to happen. Lots of shit has been going on. We still got 2 more chapters left in Broken Plea. We never even finished James Patterson's piece of shit book. I don't know what's going to happen, okay? We're just doing what we can when we can, all right? All right, let's go ahead and bring this up. Oh, my God. I had to hurry up and do my thing with it and put like a filter on it and put the things on it because, as you guys will know from checking out my community posts, Netflix struck my damn live last night when we were going over their freaking stupid trailer that they have posted here on YouTube, on their YouTube channel. They came in and took monetization for my entire 4-hour plus live. I had to go in and delete 38 minutes worth of footage for them to release and not let Netflix take the revenue from my live last night. While we were critiquing the fact that there was information in there that they're lying about, that's not never before seen footage. As far as I'm understanding in the comments, it's Connor's body cam footage, yeah? They don't want that in there. They don't want the fact that we're saying, hold on a minute, this body cam footage came from this YouTube channel. I think it's the real reason why they came after the damn thing, because what the hell are you talking about? We did everything per guidelines for YouTube, and it was posted on YouTube. But now you understand fresh why I do these things the way that I do these things, because I'm not playing these damn games. But I will also say this before we get started with the not really too important information. Some very important thing did happen today. If you guys are following Sarah over on Twitter or here on the YouTubes, you will have seen that I posted that Bryan Kohberger was appointed a public defender for his post-conviction relief. Now, as of 36 minutes ago, Kathy Indiezone posted the exact same information, but she has a little bit more written up in way of Judge Hippler being the one who actually granted it. I didn't read that before. I just saw the information about him being granted a public defender. And now we're seeing Hippler is the one who is actually the one granting it. So now let's see what happens, because he now has an attorney representing the situation happening in the first stages of this post-conviction relief. Now, something else that Kathy Indiezone posted earlier regarding Idaho versus Garza that I read and found really interesting, because I know that I have been wanting to do a live about that case, but I haven't been able to really sit down and look into it very much. And I think I posted it. Did I share it through? Let me do it right here. Okay. Is this it right here? Let me show y'all what she put right here about the gist of Idaho v. Garza. Okay. Because this is what got my attention here. And this makes me wonder what Cyray actually knows for him to be saying, oh, well, wait, he's going to be able to file something because of, Idaho versus Garza. The wording here is really interesting to me. Right here, I'm going to read the whole thing. Garza involved an Idaho defendant who exhausted all remedies in state court, then sought relief in the federal court. On February 27, 2019, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned the state's court ruling. In a 6-3 decision, SCOTUS held that the presumption of prejudice applies to an attorney's failure to file a notice of appeal as instructed by the client. Garza, irrespective of the fact that Mr. Garza had signed an appellate waiver in his plea deal with the state. Note, this was not an action for post-conviction relief. This involved the failure of counsel to file a direct appeal as instructed by Mr. Garza. But this is being referenced by Cyray, and he's saying Kohberger has a chance if they go based off of Idaho v. Garza. So then I question, did Kohberger file post-conviction relief by himself the way that he did it because he wanted Ann Taylor to file an appeal and she didn't? And that's just based off of this wording. And I know that this is not like a direct, apples to apples type situation, but it might be Honeycrisp to Granny Smith. You know what I mean? So this is like important to me right here. An attorney's failure to file a notice of appeal as instructed by the client. Does Cyrey know that Kohberger wanted to file an appeal within regular timelines? Because there's like 5 or 6 different freaking time frames for things now, according to the Idaho rules. It's freaking giving me PTSD to all these damn medical filing timelines, because it's literally just as ridiculous. Oh my God. Yeah, it's bad. Did he want one filed within the time frame, and Ann Taylor refused to do so? And that's why he has now taken this route. I don't know, but this has me wondering if maybe that's the case. I guess maybe we'll find out soon enough. I don't know. So now we're going to go ahead and listen to this. And again, if you guys were in here for last night's live, a lot of the very beginning of this is not going to be new to you. There is, and I was questioning, like, why are they showing this where, like, Olivia is just sitting there staring at the camera? She doesn't say anything. She does talk to Cyrey and ask questions in the extended clip. I just don't understand what Cyrey is doing. This is very confusing. And I want to remind everyone again, and I'm not going to show the map, and I'm not going to pull up the live of Cyrey with the custody queens and then them going and talking on Andrew Myers about it, and the whole map of Cyrey saying that he mapped everything more north than the police, and then him coming into this one and saying that on the return he has Kohberger technically more south than the police had it. So he's also flip-flopping his directions and not keeping a consistent story. And we have that recorded. That's not us not understanding correctly. It's literally coming out of his own face. He doesn't even have his own information consistent. That's a huge problem here. So just keep all of that in mind. And if you're interested in that factual information, just go head over to the live from last night. It has been fixed. The Netflix bullshit's out of there. The rest of it is in there, including the section here that we went over with all the proof, the maps, all the things. Are you guys ready? Because my God, here we go.
Work stood by what his profession. Yeah, well, Cyrey came out and stood by his work, stood by what his professional opinion was.
Right off the bat, no, he didn't, because his entire work has been for the defense side, saying that there was nothing but exculpatory evidence when it comes to the cell data. Him working the cell data is the reason why they were able to verify that the car they were following from Pullman was not Kohberger's. Not only was it not Kohberger's because the cell phone was not moving with that car, but because that car had fog lights, and Bryan Kohberger's car does not have fog lights. Therefore, what was going to be presented in court from the FBI report, from the FBI expert that did all the actual work, okay, was 3:30 in the morning, Indian Hills, no car coming from Pullman, no trail from Kohberger's apartment to Moscow whatsoever. They were just going to plop him in his vehicle right there in Moscow already and not show and provide or prove any actual lead up or travel to. Whole nother town than what he lives in. Whole campus, whole town full of cameras. We already know they have the footage because they were going to submit shit tons of it. But they had to remove Nevada Street. They had to remove Floyd's Cannabis Shop. They had to remove it because it was wrong. They could have gone back and found it. You guys know my opinion. I think they did. It proves they were wrong even more so than not supplying it would actually show. I think they know that they're wrong. If Cyrey has this proof, he needs to come out and provide it. All of these things that we are still questioning exist regardless of what this man is just flopping his gums about. He's not providing any proof. His report that he keeps referencing literally backs up what we keep saying that he's already told us, because he's the one who told it to us. This is the most crackheaded behavior. Crackheaded behavior. I don't understand people who flip-flop like this and just don't want to show any receipts for anything. How can we believe you? We've been believing you for the past 3 years, Cyrey. Now you're coming out and saying shit completely the opposite of what you've been preaching this whole time. So what's happening? We didn't just slip into an alternate reality, broski. This is not what you've been telling us this whole time. This is why we're going to be going back over hearings and listening to old testimony. This man is no, just no.
He wasn't paid. There's a lot of people who were paid and then turned that into some kind of for-profit, enterprise. And I just wanted to respect somebody who stood by their work, because I need more of that. I think a lot of courtrooms need more people to stand by what their expert testimony
I feel
is.
like Turvey's
and these gag orders are kind of cloaking devices to keep.
Look at Turvey. Okay, he talked to Chris Whitcomb, and there's no way that Turvey didn't check the work. There's no way that from the way that we see Turvey that he didn't check the book. Okay, so I don't know why. And if he didn't, I'm going to be quite shocked. I would also be quite shocked if he didn't reach out to him and be like, why the hell are you saying that Xana's blood is on the ping pong table when you also mentioned that Paula Sutton's report knew that the numbering issue proved that that's not true and that's actually an unknown stain. You mentioned the fact that the fact that the numbering problem caused a redaction and an amendment in the blood spatter expert's report. So why, even after you acknowledged that change, did you continue on with the false narrative of it being Xana's blood on the ping pong table in the living room? Why did Turvey not ever confront Whitcomb about that? I mean, he might have privately, but to me, if I was an expert on a case and I talked to somebody and that dumb shit went and put a bunch of crackhead stuff in a book that I didn't say, and that definitely doesn't match the evidence that I showed him, and he's just off saying stuff willy-nilly, I'd be coming out public about it. I wouldn't just be making snide remarks about it in my own interviews and acting like, oh, focusing on that's just fangirl stuff. I'd be making direct statements. Why is that not happening? And just like this Chris Holland guy, him coming out and trying to say that there's blood in the kitchen, that little red spot in the kitchen is Xana's blood. Netflix now has that in the damn docuseries. This channel proved that that's not even blood on the floor. Not even blood on the floor, much less Xana's blood. These are people that get paid by both sides to give testimony in court that determines another human being's future. And they're just out here saying shit that's not true based on actual freaking evidence that was released by the official agencies that worked this case. It's not my information to argue. I'm just here to withhold the fact. And if that makes me look like a bitch, I don't really care. And if people want to come out and be like, oh my God, there she goes. She thinks she knows more than the experts. Bitch, you damn straight I do. In this case, I do. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong with anything I say in this entire video. I bet you can't. I bet you can't, because this channel is nothing but documents and facts. We put our money where our mouth is. Cyree is a liar and a manipulator, just like Steve Goncalves has been for the past 3 years. This was not just a just now meeting situation either. There's no way with some of the things that get said. This is a show. This is orchestrated. What is happening here? Where is Ann Taylor coming out and bitching about Cyree being out here doing interviews and writing books and doing classes and mentioning stuff about the case? She threw a fit, came out the cave for Turvey. But here comes Cyree, and she's... Remember, there's also a leak investigation going on behind the scenes that's criminal. The administrative side is apparently done, found there to be a problem. Now the criminal side is happening because someone's supposed to get in trouble. People we forget that that's also happening in the background. While all these other people are out here trying to save face for things, there's other criminal charges happening. Other lawsuits looming. There's a million different webs coming off this damn case. It's been something. It's been something.
People from actually being responsible for their so-called expert witness testimony. So there's not a lot of opportunities I get to speak to an expert, to somebody who's actually seen the data that is related to my daughter's death. And I don't take that lightly. And Cyree has daughters as well as I do. And I think his heart's in the right place. And I wanted to reach out and find out like these questions that I have that even the defense and the prosecutor, nobody wants to help me with. So if he's willing to like tell me, hey, how can you have cell tower dumps, the whole tower dump, and then his phone turns on at 4:48? How's that not? How do we not have timing records in there? How do we not have that? That's my main question for him.
Had to close that window.
Sai?
Yeah, and I think there's a couple things to look at with that question. Number one, when his phone turns back on, there's no doubt the route that he took. There is no doubt the connections to the towers. I've been very concerned from the get-go of why we're not seeing that data. The map that's on the screen right now is a perfect example. That was a map that was used in all of the search warrants. Essentially, you will find that map right there repeating throughout every search.
Just this dark, just this unreadable, just like this. Minus my little monkey watermark, looking just like this in the PCA. You can't tell what the hell that is. That's what it looks like. That's what it was sent off to the judge. Mm-hmm.
It's wrong. And it's wrong in a number of disturbing ways. And when you actually take the data that's out there and you map it, I can tell you, Steve, there's no doubt where that device is when it turns back on. And it's not Thorny Creek Road. It's south of there. It's still on 95. It's still southbound.
Now, remember what I said. Last night's live, I pulled up the map. We looked at everywhere where he's talking about. We went over the lives and everything. So all of the proof, when I say he is going to claim that he mapped Kohberger more south than the police after the crime, he told the custody queens and Ron, when he did the interview that he claimed was going to be his only one, that he mapped Kohberger more north after and before the crimes, going like to and from. His traveling was more north than what the cops had. So if you want the proof of that, which I do expect you to go and get it because I don't want you to just take my word for it, he's flip-flopping here. He doesn't even have his own information consistent.
It does eventually pull off and it travels east and then west and then kind of back up to the north to come back into WSU. But we're talking 25-meter radius GPS pings, and they perfectly align with the roadway when you measure the distances between them.
I will also say, in that proof from last night, it shows also a report from Slovinsky, who was the original cell phone data analyst who brought Cyray in on this case. And what he shows is what their programming shows for Kohberger's phone in this 7-minute-ish period where there was issues that ended up being like removed because everything was wrong. And that's like the section of time it is. Between 2:49 and like 2:50, it shows the phone pinging off of different towers like several times. It goes from like one sector right below his apartment to one right above, and then back below, and then right above. Then it drops it all the way from like up here where like right below his apartment is. And within 7-ish seconds, literally like 7 to 12 seconds, it goes down here and then back up here again. I don't want to hear nothing about no 25 meters, nothing. Okay. I understand that coverage area can be really big, but when you're trying to tell me that you can be all the way up here and then it shows that your phone is hitting a tower sector all the way down here. And then this man told us in the other interview, somebody related to this case's phone was in Seattle, but it had it pinging in New Orleans. And there was no VPN. That's not how that works. This was cell data, cell phone tower data, not Wi-Fi stuff. Two completely different things. These things are not reliable. Not reliable. 25 meters. You mean miles? Because like that's crazy. No.
The speeds are 100% appropriate. You can see the vehicle coming at like a 3-way intersection and it turns left. And the next one, it turns right.
Show us.
It is
please.
Turn by turn. There's absolutely no doubt. I've been saying from day one, they need to map all the data. They need to go get the data. They need to map the data. And I reserve the right to change my opinion until all.
But he's claiming he already did that. He's claiming that the FBI only mapped like, 10-15% of everything, that he went back in and took all of the data and mapped it himself. And that's why he's out here now claiming this. So why can't he just produce what he's already created Why is he saying if they go back and do it, if they go back and do it, if they go back and do it? You're making your stance publicly clear to the entire world. Produce your data. And we also need to remember something here. In his report that he filed to the court in January of 2025, he admits that he does not have Ethan's phone records. Ethan's information was not analyzed in his analysis filed to the court. Neither was Bethany Funk's, and neither was Jack Ducour's. There was also a huge issue with Molly, the DoorDash driver's records. They were created and saved by the FBI. So all that Cyray did was go in and see the kind of file that it was and what was actually in there. And he never analyzed it any further. And it also was not in his analysis. So Ethan, one of the hugest questions about this entire case is when Ethan and Xana freaking got home. And where the hell were they? Because they were not home at 2:15 when the DoorDash was made. They refused to tell us where Xana was when she apparently made this DoorDash. But everyone associated with this case, including Cyray and Judge Hippler, have all told us 2:15 Xana was not home when she made the DoorDash order. They, Mr. Phone Records himself, that has Xana's phone information, can't tell us when Xana got home. Can't tell us anything about Ethan because he didn't have Ethan's records to analyze and put into his report. So if he doesn't have all of this data, then how can he come out here and also sound so confident? If all of this is missing, but then he's claiming he has all this stuff about Kohberger and he can prove all these things, you see how ridiculous all of this sounds? We're just observers giving opinions, and this sounds crazy.
All of that data is put forth because I think it tells a story. And I don't know how an expert prompts both the investigative side and the defense side of, hey, these are bottom line basic steps that need to be taken.
Thank you for the 2.
If that was done, what would be found?
She's over here sleeping on the stool. She had a couple licks of a tuna tube today, and she got a little bit of water in her, and she's been walking around the house everywhere. She's been sleeping, but she seems to be pretty good today.
Is the very next day, he mirrors that exact same route. He starts off in Pullman. He comes into Moscow. He drives down 95. He pulls onto the dirt road. He's in the exact same area that he drove the night before after immediately committing these crimes. And after he goes to that area, he drives straight to the Snake River just after dusk, getting into the darkness about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And why would somebody be driving to the Snake River on that path?
And see, that part's crazy to me, because if he's going to try to say that he went back the same way and he feels like he knows where the weapons were hid or some shit like that, again, for the 20,000th freaking time, show us your map, show us your analytics, show us your report, show us your information. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, and I know that everything in it is wrong, obviously, but this is interesting because there's a portion in the PCA. And let me go grab it real quick. There's a portion in the PCA that talks about later on in the afternoon of the 13th, in the evening. And I believe it says something like the phone going back off network around 5 to 8 or some shit like that. Between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. or something. So is he trying to say that Kohberger would have had his phone on the entire time? Yeah, right here. I just found it. It literally opened right up to the second to last page. So he's saying that Kohberger's phone shows that he got to Snake River between 8:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. And again, I know that the PCA is wrong. I'm just showing you the original information, okay? The PCA shows that from 5:32 to 5:36, this is him after they've said that he's been at Albertsons and Costco, down in Clarkston and Lewiston and all those things, okay? Then it says basically on his way back, it says between 5:32 p.m. and 5:36 p.m., the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Johnson, Idaho. The 8458 phone then stops reporting to a network from approximately 5:36 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. So if they're saying that from 8:30 p.m. and forward, his phone was on the network, is Cyray, if that portion of this is true, is Cyray wanting us to believe that Kohberger purposely stayed off of the network when he wasn't hiding the weapons, and then as soon as he got out of his car to hide the weapons, he went right back on the network. Or the timings are off because they probably are. The PCA is a piece of shit. But this is why we need him to come out and give us his actual information. Because if he wants us to believe him about anything, he needs to prove to us that we can believe him. Again, we know the PCA is wrong. We know the entire thing is literal garbage. I don't understand how it's not the giantest, most big freaking piece of poisonous fruit anyone has ever dealt with in the entire criminal justice system history, okay? Let's be serious. But this is the opposite of what that says. Almost every single thing that Cy has said so far has been the opposite of something. Not only is he claiming that everything that the FBI put together, his findings were correct and everything the FBI did was wrong, but now he's coming out and basically giving us a 180 demeanor on what he claims all of that actually meant for the case. And I just really wonder, would he have said any of this if this would have gone to trial and Kohberger would have been found innocent and he would have gotten out because the proof wasn't there? The way that most of us think he is, okay? Because none of this shit makes any damn sense. But would he be out here being like, I can't consciously sleep at night knowing that I have all this information that wasn't presented? And yes, I know that he can't, like, what would have happened? You see what I mean? It's the same thing when it comes to Dylan didn't call Bethany. Mother effers, okay? Dylan, hello, baby. He's coming this way. She's walking around in the window. Dylan did not call Bethany. Dylan tells the first responders. She tells Emily, Hunter, Jack Decore. She tells anybody and everybody that would listen to her big, fake blubbering that she called Bethany. No, she did not. Bethany didn't hear Dylan calling nobody's name. Didn't hear Dylan calling out for Kaylee or Xana to try to figure out what was going on. Didn't hear phones ringing. Didn't hear anything but a firecracker sound, and she saw a light. She called Dylan, asking Dylan if she heard the sound. Did you see the light? Dylan did not call Bethany and be like, I saw a guy. I'm hearing crying. I don't know what's going on. Dylan's a liar. This is the exact same situation here. Okay? The same way I ask, what the shit would the story have been if Bethany would have never called Dylan, since we've been lied to about the order of those calls? What would Cy be saying right now if we would have gone to trial and he would have been found not guilty and he would have been let out? Would he be coming out here telling the public, no, he is a freaking murderer. I have the proof right here. I even think I know where the weapons are. What would he have done? What would he be saying? Now we'll never freaking know, which is what really pisses me off. But this is one of those after the fact situations. The same thing with the Goncalveses and the stories they come out telling about Kaylee and their non-truths, okay? What would he have been doing today if this would have gone to trial and Kohberger would have been found not guilty and he claims that he's holding on to all this back-end information that proves he did all of this, including being at the house itself, because that's what he's going to claim here. Would he have been screaming that in court, or would he stayed on the defense side and taken an attaboy on the back for being the one that crossed over the line, the one that worked for the defense for the first time, and oh my God, he was right, and oh my God, he was the savior? Would he be taking the crown, or would he be coming out here and being honest? I don't trust him. Everything I'm seeing up here is self-preservation. Show us your shit, Cy. I promise you, at this point, I don't even really care about what this man has to say after this. Until he produces some information or says something even more obnoxious than he already has, which I highly doubt he can top it at this point, I don't really want to waste much more time on him. I mean, we got the book. We're going to do the book. But until he produces a map, you're full of shit, sir.
It's concerning to me because we also see some activity that is indicative, in my opinion, of him looking at his navigation, specifically using his phone to get into a perfect area. The other thing is pattern of life. We got 6 months worth of records on Mr. Kohberger. It's very easy for us.
And not only is that available to the public on the Case of Public Interest website, which is linked down below in the description box, but on our shared drive, Google Share Drive for the case, in the Idaho v. Kohberger folder where it says all court records. The report is in there too. It was filed January 2025, right before Hitler called him a conspiracy theorist. FYI. So if you haven't read it, you can either go listen to me run my mouth about it in a live about 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, or go read it for yourself. I promise you, everything he says in that report is 180 to what he is claiming today.
To see what his normal pattern looks like. This is a complete deviation from that normal pattern, and it stands out. It tells a story.
That's very compelling to hear. And look, it highlights what an overarching theme has been criticism of prosecutors in this case. Olivia, I want to throw it to you. I understand you have questions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the questions I came prepared for kind of moot compared to this one. So you're speaking of GPS data, which I'll be honest, I really wasn't aware of. So when you speak turn by turn, is it fair to assume that that data, you mentioned it went back 6 months, was used for the cast report, which did put the defendant at my sister's home on 23 previous occasions? Because I know a lot of pushback that happens is when it comes to this cell tower, they say there's only 2 in Moscow. It only narrows it down 10 miles. Can you kind of help to dispel some of the specificity that can happen with GPS data that was on his device?
Yeah, and I need to break that into 2 pieces. Number one, the 23 prior visits based on that cast report is 100% inaccurate. It would never hold up in court. Any expert in this field who reviewed that report would be able to show you incredible flaws. The problem, too, is it isn't just 1 or 2. All 23 of those that are reported in the cast report are wrong. They're inaccurate. The times are off. It's just a really bad analysis. With that said, if the agency and the investigators actually dug into the records they have, not only is there evidence of Bryan Kohberger being in the area of that house, there's evidence of him being on the property. There's things that they could follow up on to confirm that.
And he apparently gave his information to the prosecutor. When everything, he said he mapped all of this. He said in the freaking interview with Custody Queens, he mapped all of this. The prosecutor has seen everything. So how can Bill Thompson stand up in court and say, if this is the case, that they can't connect Kohberger to the victims, the house, the area, nada? How can he say that if this is true? What are you talking about? This is not what you've been saying. This is not what your report says 15,000 times. What are you talking about? Cyrey, I bet, is the leak.
And in my report, and luckily it's just been released, I actually outlined follow-up that would be reasonable to assume an investigator would do to confirm the prior visits to the house, which I think are very critical. Pattern of life is everything in this case.
Exactly. Why is that not in his report? If this is true based off of the pings, and his point was to find out exactly what Kohberger's cell phone analysis actually said, why is this not in a report? And mind you, this was like the final reports before they were getting down to business. Nothing else was submitted the entire year up until the plea. There was motions in limine. There was self-authentication of records. Things were getting removed. All kinds of other shit was going on. There was never an amendment to Cyrey's report. As a matter of fact, there was a hearing. Remember him being called a conspiracy theorist, where Cyrey was sitting and listening to the entire thing on Zoom while Hitler was calling him a conspiracy theorist, and he was unable to get up on the thing and even defend himself. He just had to sit there and take it and listen. So now he's got this huge ego about himself since then. And notice he's out here now calling everybody like me and you conspiracy theorists, when we're the only ones staying consistent and still asking all the damn questions, because now he's the flip-flopper. But somehow we're going to end up still being the bad guys. That's just how it works.
Seeing the planning phase and then leading up to the actual murders themselves, us being able to piece that back together and tell a comprehensive story that makes sense, that's the job of the investigators. So I can tell you that I feel very comfortable that Bryan Kohberger was in the general area of the house several times leading up to the murders. I think he came by the house the next morning. I think he came by the house the day after that. So there's...
And remember, the PCA says that they have a phone ping on November the 14th, but that they don't have proof that Kohberger was in Moscow, so they're saying that it's a false ping. That's also in the PCA. Now he's saying he not only went back in the morning, but he went the next day too. Where's that information in your report? Show us how the hell you know that. Show us the video cameras. That I don't want to just see the fact that a phone ping put him somewhere. Show us the camera footage. If you've got all this daytime footage and you've got all these damn cameras, I don't care what anyone tries to say. We have information from Pullman that for Justin Casey's, WSU and Pullman were going around like getting all kinds of freaking footage. They were canvassing all kinds of freaking neighborhoods on main streets, the campus. They held the footage. There's all kinds of footage they could go back to. It's been 4 years. Surprisingly enough, technology has advanced so much in the last 4 years. There's an AI program they could write to go in and literally find cars that match the descriptions that they're looking for. And then a human eye can go in and start verifying themselves if they see anything that could be the actual car, that could actually be Kohberger leaving to go do anything. Why haven't they done that yet? We know it exists. Why haven't they gone in to try to fix this 7-minute gap and prove their story? And if Cy-Ray has done it, why hasn't he shown it? I don't believe him. I think he's just trying to sell his courses. His $100 book and his freaking courses. Like, this is crazy. If you would have been out preaching this exact same thing, that'd be different. But when you say the best thing that could have happened to him is the prosecutor not reaching out to me, why didn't you reach out to the prosecutor and be like, I'm switching sides? You have the right to do that. You have the right to have withdrawn yourself from the defense the entire time. He never was withdrawn from the defense. Like, is he even withdrawn from the defense now, actually? I mean, I guess so, because he's talking. So I'm going to assume that there's no more, confidentiality agreement. But what? He could have walked away a long time ago. He could have went to the prosecutor's side. He could have done the whole right thing. We wouldn't be here right now if he would have. I can't trust this behavior, not after the plea. He was with his chest the whole time. No, I don't trust you, bro. I don't trust you.
More than enough evidence to show that. There are databases and ways that if the right people use the right legal process to exploit today, the data's still there. There is some really good information that could come out that I believe would show the device actually at or inside the house, opposed to just near it.
Steve, this is an important conversation based on what we talked about last night. I'll say it again. I'll say it one more time. I think the likelihood that he gets a new trial is very, 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 very low.
And I will just say again, we're still just in the very initial stages of what's going on here. But Judge Hippler did just grant Bryan Kohberger a public defender for his post-conviction relief as of a few hours ago.
But if this is now a conversation about a potential new trial, is there going to, do you want Cy to be part of this push for investigators, for law enforcement, for prosecutors to essentially, if I'm understanding this all correctly, be more thorough?
It's almost bigger than that. Technology is moving so fast. It's radically fast. And I'm an IT guy and I can barely keep up. These courtrooms, when they were talking about a JSON file, I just wanted to jump up in front of the judge and say, this is ridiculous. There's no expert in the room right now. So I think what we need to do is embrace technology more. And we need to have experts that are actually driven just based off of technology.
If Cy-Ray was really a driven expert, he would have switched sides a long time ago, like everything I just said. This is self-preservation.
And things have to change. I mean, the courtroom, I'm watching somebody typing when the whole thing's being recorded. They resist change. They don't want change. We have to embrace change. And that's how we get justice, is we start embracing, this technology. And that's what I'm trying to say is this case, bring it on. The evidence is there. I'm not scared of it. I actually think there's so much undiscovered evidence that
why
this case
didn't
is
Thompson
actually
say anything? If that's
should have been case law. It should have been case law, and it's unfortunate that we didn't get there. And I'm trying to save another family from dealing with the same headache that we just went through. And we're talking about life and death, and it's that important.
Yeah, no
I mean,
shit.
Cy said it before. Two things could be true at once. Bryan Kohberger could be guilty, but there could be faulty parts of the investigation.
Exactly.
Olivia, you said you had other questions that you felt are moot. What are those other questions that you had, or anything that you want to address for Cy?
Yeah, so a lot of my questions were just about kind of the analysis and how specific we can get, data. I have my phone right here. Obviously, it's connected to Wi-Fi, but let's say it wasn't. Could you know that I was right here just with cell tower data? Or would it require an additional piece like a timing advance record?
It would definitely require something additional than just cell tower connections. And I think the question you're asking is really pivotal, and it mirrors exactly what Steve is bringing out. You have to ask for it. You have to know what to ask for. You have to know the proper legal process to obtain it. And then the most important thing here is you have to be able to analyze it. You have to be able to properly analyze it. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds of some of the knowledge that I'm talking about tonight, because some of this hasn't been released, but I feel very comfortable stating there is no work product in this case that took the 4 victims' phones, 6 months worth of records, which they have, it's in evidence, took Bryan Kohberger's 6 months worth of records and sat down and did a deep dive analysis of seeing where those devices intersect and when they collide. And I feel
he's not wrong there. That technically matches everything I just said. He did not have Ethan's records, Jack DeCour's records, or Bethany Funk's records to analyze and add into his own report. And the FBI created and stored the DoorDash driver's records. And he didn't analyze them. And this is in the report that I keep telling you guys about. Okay, I'll go pull it up in a second and give you guys the link straight on the Idaho Case of Interest site and the Google Drive here in just a minute, so you have it yourself. He's not wrong, because that's my biggest thing, is how the hell do they not have Ethan's records? Why the hell are they not analyzing Ethan's records? And why were we going to go to trial without having Ethan's records? What do you mean? Okay, there's that one. Then Jack DeCour. What do you mean you don't have his stuff? What do you mean you didn't have his information to use in your report? Wasn't included in your analysis. What do you mean? Bethany Funk, one of the ones that waited 8 hours after having conversations with someone who's tripping balls about everything that's going on, and they're admitting to each other that they're both freaking out. One of the two that didn't make a freaking 911 call, you don't have that either? The DoorDash driver is a whole nother what the hell, all right? So this isn't wrong. This isn't wrong. We mentioned this the other day too. This is not wrong. But we also don't have anybody saying that he's on camera anywhere. They've gone in and checked all the stores, all the surveillance for any transactions or anything that they've ever found. Now, could there have been times when, I don't know, somebody was lurking in the shadows in the clothing aisle and watching people and they didn't actually make any transactions? You think they only looked at that footage? They looked at like freaking forevers of footage, all right? They've got shit tons of footage. They never found them ever anywhere at the exact same time. So while it's not just going off of cell phone, it's going off of video too. It's going off of other reports of other places and other things and social media connections and everything else. There's never been anything that shows anything. But he is also correct. We don't have every little thing being analyzed. But what they do have doesn't show what they're trying to say that it does. And that is a huge issue. But the bigger issue is, why don't you have all the rest of this information? I will stand on, while it does say this is completely freaking unacceptable. You have 3 people for sure that you did not analyze. And the 4th, it says some shit, but you're not saying what it says because you apparently didn't look too far. That's more important. Especially considering that one of them is Ethan. And what else is also insane? They never unlocked Kaylee's phone. They can't jailbreak the FBI, Homeland Security, the random nerds they've probably tried to hire off of Craigslist. Nobody can jailbreak into Kaylee's phone. Missing phone records, phones you can't get into, untested DNA, people not compared against. I just don't understand. You can't write. No one, no matter how gifted they are, could have possibly written anything this convoluted. No matter what they tried to do, no one could have ever written this as jacked up as this is. This is so insane.
Very comfortable in this next statement that if somebody did that on the prosecution investigative side.
Steve did not give them passwords. They just said at CrimeCon last month that they don't want them to try to get into Kaylee's phone. And they still haven't been able to get into Kaylee's phone. That's what they said. What Steve said is that they have family passwords. He never said he gave them passwords. No. What they did was what Dylan Rounds' parents did when he went missing, is they logged into their shared family account and cloned her phone. That's why they could see her calls and her text messages. Kaylee's phone has never been unlocked by the FBI. They can't get into it for some reason. That's a fact. The Goncalveses are mad because they think that if the FBI can actually get the phone open, because law enforcement's apparently still working on it. Even though we're after the plea and all this other stuff is going on, they're still trying to get into Kaylee's phone. According to the Goncalveses last month in Las Vegas at CrimeCon, we went over this panel. I got it straight from CrimeCon headquarters website. Check it out. It's a interesting live. They say a lot of real interesting shit. No. Them seeing the situation with Kaylee's LinkedIn, Indeed, whichever one it was. I know it's the opposite one that Dylan was on, but for some reason my brain never not flip-flops them. I don't know. Whichever one that Kaylee was on that was getting messed with. Olivia was seeing that from being connected to Kaylee on that app. She wasn't logged into Kaylee's account, from what I'm understanding. Now, we do have those clips that we do plan on going back over, but no, they still cannot get into Kaylee's phone. There are massive, very important pieces of data missing in this case. And never mind the very important fact. Xana's phone was on the bed with Ethan, and Ethan's phone was on the floor with Xana. That's in the crime scene photos that was released. Lots of phone stuff, you know? Lots and lots of phone stuff.
It's not a mystery of where some of these connections happened. It's not a mystery of what I'm going to say, at least the pre-planning phase of this crime. There's some very telling evidence in those phone records that, to your point, we can be a little bit more specific. We can be a little bit more isolated instead of just saying, well, both phones were in.
That's true too. There's a report that came out that shows that there were a few pages also missing from Kaylee's school records that the police got. You're right. That was a more recent thing that we found out. That's true. Very true.
Moscow. Yeah, no, they're actually both on the same street corner. Or more importantly, there's a couple phones that belong in Moscow that are in Pullman at times. And there's an intersection and a collision between Kohberger and a couple of the victims in Pullman. So the evidence is there. It just.
Where, Cy? Where were they at the same place in Pullman? Why is he not saying, oh, well, you know, there was a party at WSU at one of the fraternities and two of the girls went and Kohberger saw them there? Why can't he just say that? If he can say what he just said, why can't he give us a location?
Where some of these connections happened. It's not a mystery of what I'm going to say, at least the pre-planning phase of this crime. There's some very telling evidence in those phone records that, to your point, we can be a little bit more specific. We can be a little bit more isolated instead of just saying, well, both phones are in Moscow. Yeah, no, they're actually both on the same street corner. Or more importantly, there's a couple phones that belong in Moscow that are in Pullman at times. And there's an intersection and a collision between Kohberger and a couple of the victims in Pullman. So
where? Walmart? The mall? Like where?
the evidence is there. It just needs to be properly analyzed.
So did you not do that? Are you not out here running your mouth again because you properly analyzed it? What do you mean? It needs to be properly analyzed. You said you did that. Just show it to us. Do you see how frustrating this shit is? The ifs and the what ifs and if theys. Bitch, you said you did it already. Show it to us. Am I wrong? I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand.
I just got to jump in 1 second as I'm listening to you speak, and I'm listening to your expertise in this and thinking that you were retained by the defense at one point. You are quite knowledgeable. You are the kind of expert that any side would want. Did you, in your experience, the reason I say that is because Bryan Kohberger is saying he had bad lawyers. He had ineffective assistance of counsel. That's what he's claiming right now. I'm thinking all I've ever heard is that he had good attorneys. And if they were considering you, I feel like that's a good attorney. From your perspective, do you think that he had incompetent, ineffective?
They were not considering him. They hired Slavinsky. Slavinsky saw all the issues and reached out to Cyray because he knew Cyray. The defense was not considering Cyray, just so that we're clear on the facts there.
Any side would want. Did you, in your experience, the reason I say that is because Bryan Kohberger.
That shit cracked me up. Oh my God. He Googled what a psychopath is. We can't call him a psychopath, but he Googled it. Why can't we call him a psychopath? That was wild. That was wild. Oh my God. Yeah, that was crazy.
Saying he had bad lawyers. He had ineffective assistance of counsel.
No.
That's what he's claiming right now. I'm thinking all I've ever heard is that he had good attorneys. And if they were considering you, I feel like that's a good attorney. From your perspective, do you think that he had incompetent, ineffective counsel from your experiences on that side?
Boy, that's a loaded question.
It sure is, but I'm asking it.
Why did he answer that here the same way that he did with custody queens? Didn't I think Sam sort of asked that exact same question and he responded with, well, that's a loaded question. I think that's pretty much the same thing he did. So he's got a script. He just knows instantly if somebody asks me about if Anne was ineffective, I have to mention that it's a loaded question. I have to have a hesitation. I have to have a preface. Why? Ew, no wonder you only wanted to do one interview. Your shit is way more noticeable after two.
Counsel, that's what he's claiming right now. I'm thinking all I've ever heard is that he had good attorneys. And if they were considering you, I feel like that's a good attorney. From your perspective, do you think that he had incompetent, ineffective counsel from your experiences on that side?
Boy, that's a loaded question.
It sure is, but I'm asking it.
I think that there's plenty of ineffectiveness to go around on the defense side, prosecution side, and quite honestly, and I won't be very popular for saying this, on the judge side, I think there's critical errors that were made throughout this entire case where it's just this giant snowball that kept picking up speed as it went. One of the biggest things, and just to be clear, I got involved in this case because I did a peer review. The actual expert on the case ran into a problem, didn't know what to do, called me. I looked at it, I thought I'd be done. Next thing I know, I kind of got sucked into this thing. Yeah. So it was.
Oh, I got sucked into this thing. I'm a victim. So you could have walked away at any freaking minute. You could have walked away at any minute. Experts quit cases all day long. I got sucked in. Oh, I'm a baby. I'm not a man that can stand up for myself. I got sucked in. Oh my God. And Taylor tricked me too. Is that what he's going to say next? Come on. You're full of shit. If you actually felt like you had anything, you would be out here proving it. You're not proving it. You're not producing it. You're full of shit. There's no way, as somebody who's out here claiming morals and ethics and obligation, that you could literally think that you even have him at the property. But standing there at trial on the defense side, I am now going to question every piece of shit that stands and puts their hand up and swears under oath. Because Cyray was going to get in that chair and swear under oath everything the opposite that he is saying today. He was never once going to say that Kohberger was in the freaking neighborhood, that he was at the freaking property. He was never going to say that. And I can pretty much bet you that if this would have gone to trial, it would have never been cross-examined that way either, to where he would have had to have actually said that. Something would have happened, and miraculously it wouldn't have been stated. So would he have come out and been this? No, it's wrong. I can do this. I can put him at Snake River and all these things again. If this plea didn't happen, probably not. This man was going to get on the stand under oath and swear to everything that that damn January report says. And everything in it says what? Exculpatory information intentionally omitted. He repeated that like a dozen times. On top of We can't put Kohberger in the neighborhood of King Road or at the house. We can't put him at the crime scene. How many times is that there? I mean, damn. No wonder people think I just hate men. Look how much of an asshole I have to be about every single one of these idiots that come out here and talk. It's not my fault that they're liars. I'm just calling out their narcissistic lies. Okay? Like, this is crazy. So again, I'm asking, is he having a midlife crisis? Like, all jokes aside, is Cyrey having a midlife crisis right now? Because I think he might be. Talk about patterned behavior and deviations. This is a big, huge deviation, Cy. Definitely from the past 4 years almost. Because remember, he's done like interviews with Truth and Transparency from before. Like one of the crime cons, I think. There's like a live where him and his wife and her were sitting there talking about the case. A little tipsy, I guess. He didn't say anything that would have made me feel like he saw anything that was of concern. Everything else he's ever mentioned, he never once acted like there was anything to be concerned about. So where did all this actually come from? And where was all of this a year ago, by the way? Where was all of this a year ago? He's only coming out and talking because Turvey came out and did an interview. I really do think that if Turvey wouldn't have come out here on interviews and it was just Chris Whitcomb, he wouldn't have done one. I feel like this is personal. I think there's something deeper between Cyrey and Turvey. And I could be wrong. This could be literally because of like self-preservation, like I said. But does anybody know if there's maybe any personal beef between these two? I know we've got some real diggers here. Somebody needs to do some digging and see if there's some cross somewhere. Did they work on another case before? Did Turvey put somebody away that Cyrey knew? Like, what is happening? Because this is extremely personal for this man. And it's not just because he's like out saying this shit now. It's the way that he answered questions on custody queens. His nostrils would flare. It was noticeable. Everybody was noticing it in chat before I even said anything. He is way offended in taking what he's being asked by people about the kind of stuff that Turvey is out here saying. He's taking it way too personal. Something's weird. So some of y'all have an assignment. Okay. Something's off here. It's just way too strange.
Never intent to be involved in this case. And I'll say it time and time again. I told the defense probably at least 100 times.
I want Turvey to come out and make a statement.
The best thing that happened for Bryan Kohberger is that we were never contacted to help provide assistance on this case. That's my job.
See?
Across the country.
See? Best thing that happened to him is we weren't contacted by the prosecution, but you could have quit working for the defense at any moment. And up until the plea, you were still very much employed on this side of the fence.
I looked at it, I thought I'd be done. Next thing I know, I kind of got sucked into this thing.
Yeah.
So it was never an intent to be involved in this case. And I'll say it time and time again. I told the defense probably at least 100 times. The best thing that happened for Bryan Kohberger is that we were never contacted to help provide assistance on this case. That's my job. Across the country, across the world. If I feel very comfortable in saying if myself or some other experts in this field around the United States were contacted early and brought into this investigation, we would not be having this conversation.
Well, let me tell you something.
This is weird right
Oh,
here.
I don't want to interrupt.
No, please.
But that's not the first time I've heard that. I've heard other experts say the exact thing to me. Said, Steve, you reached out to me. I'm here. I'm an expert, and they won't talk to me. So let me that lit a fire as me as a father that I'm doing things like I'm doing right now.
And by the way, Steve, for anybody who doesn't know, you were the guys who orchestrated this. You said this is an important conversation.
I know, because there's no way in hell this is the first time that they've spoken. So yes, the word orchestrated is definitely correct, for sure.
That lit a fire as me as a father that I'm doing things like I'm doing right now.
And by the way, Steve, for anybody who doesn't know, you were the guys who orchestrated this. You said this is an important conversation to have. We want to talk to Cyrey about this. I'm so glad that we did, particularly now. We didn't know that Kohberger was going to file this yesterday. So all of this happened at once. Cyrey.
See how Steve looked down when he said that? That's because Steve did get a heads up by Mike Baker. He said that in the Inton interview yesterday that Baker called and told him about getting a call from Kohberger and about the statement, and that Kohberger had intention to file post-conviction relief. So my question was, because we know that Brian's sister Melissa interviewed with Mike Baker, so they must have had some sort of rapport before then to make her comfortable. So there must have been, I'm assuming, maybe something between Mike Baker and Kohberger prior to make Brian comfortable enough to reach out to Mike Baker. Or because Melissa was comfortable enough, Brian was maybe talked to by Melissa to reach out to someone finally and make a statement. I don't know. But he had a phone call with him. Those phone calls from the phones at the prison are all recorded. Did Mike Baker happen to record the call when he realized it was coming in from the Idaho prison? I don't know. He's not mentioning that he recorded the call. Could we FOIA the damn thing? No. They've literally shot down getting all of his phone information. But they were okay with releasing his transaction histories, but it was also part of his court filing. So I guess maybe that's why. But people have tried to get that information before, FOIA that information from the prison before, and we were told no. Well, I never FOIA'd the transaction history. I've tried to FOIA emails, messages, phone calls, video visit and visit logs and stuff like that. I never asked for transaction history, but I know some people that have, and they were denied it. And again, it's different. It's not a FOIA. It's a filing. But now I also have the huge question. If this continues, this post-conviction relief thing continues, does that mean that FOIAs and stuff get halted? Does unsealing of documents get halted? I think the last update that Sarah did about the documents is there's somewhere between like 7 and 11 from the third order that still need to be unsealed. Do you guys realize that we're like, 3 months shy of the third sealing order being in place? It's almost taken a year to get just the third order of documents out. That's crazy. That's actually insane.
That lit a fire as me as a father that I'm doing things like I'm doing right now.
And by the way, Steve, for anybody who doesn't know, you were the guys who orchestrated this. You said this is an important conversation to have. We want to talk to Cy about this. I'm so glad that we did, particularly now. We didn't know that Kohberger was going to file this yesterday. So all of this happened at once. Cy, thank you for taking the time to answer these questions and explain it. Steve and Olivia, I said this to Steve last night. I've been thinking about you guys this whole week, and I'm going to be, you have an open platform here to always talk about what you want to talk about with this case. So thank you all so much for taking the time to, again, have a really important conversation.
And that's it. Thank you for the 10, Kate. Yeah, this is just insane. My trust levels have gone completely even further down than where they already were. How am I ever supposed to want to step foot into this field? How am I ever gonna want to finish my bachelor's and actually get into this field when every single time we seem to get information from some sort of expert that's doing this under oath, that's doing it because this is what they have a passion for, that they have these morals and these ethics and these principles that they apparently go by, and they're all out here lying. They're all either out here lying or they're freaking incompetent. Because not only is Cy out here saying all the crazy shit he's saying, but he's also claiming that everything that FBI agent Nick Balance did was wrong. And the crazy part with that is that he's done all kinds of other cases. The Lori Vallow case. He did a bunch of work on the Vallow case. What other cases did he do where the timings were off? Where the amount of time that the person was connected to the actual tower was wrong? I mean, some of the actual times that they're claiming that Kohberger was connected to a node or a cell tower or a sector, just all depends, I guess. It's sometimes seconds. Literally just driving by down the highway and it just will happen to bounce is basically what it is. Some of them are for some minutes. Some of them are for a couple of hours. But that's also an area where everyone goes back and forth, and you can be in Moscow and ping in Pullman and be in Pullman and ping in Moscow. That's just how that works. And something that we also need to remember is how much extra traffic was in the area. What Cy needs to come out and be honest about is how much traffic was going on and how cell phone traffic that's abnormal than normal for that area does affect the way that cell phones will bounce off of towers because of heavy traffic. Not only was it the football game in Moscow for the University of Idaho, but it was also something called Envision Idaho. So you also had people coming in for the football game, but you also had like high school age kids and their parents coming to the area for Envision Idaho, where they cleaned up everything and they weren't supposed to be drinking and they weren't supposed to have any parties. And even the Sigma Chi party, that wasn't supposed to happen. Hey there, Avril. 18 months. Thank you so much for being a member for so long. Yes, I was told about that yesterday. I have it written down. It's something that I'm going to look at. The remainder of the day, when we go live later on this evening, is going to be the damn Netflix thing. We're going to do it the way that I said. We're going to go live, stay live the whole time. I thought it was 4 episodes. Where the hell did I see that it was 4 episodes? Because I could have sworn it was 4 episodes. Unless it's Amazon Prime's season 2, that's supposed to be 4 episodes, which I guess could be true. But this is 3 episodes. And they're like 44 minutes long each. And like I said, we're going to do like a 5-minute intermission in between each of them, but we're just going to stay live the whole time. And just watch all 3 of them in a row. But that is on the list of something. And the other audio of the Idaho State Police officer in the interview with the lady who says, well, in the interview in the report where there's a lady that they're claiming was driving back and forth to feed her cat while she was at work, the audio apparently says the opposite. She's claiming it's not her, and the officers are trying to get her to say that it was her, and that's not the case. So we still have to go over that too, you know? And there's also several interviews that we still have to go over. There's also stuff that I have FOIA'd and gotten that we still need to go over. There's still lots of stuff to go over. Reports we still need to read. And now we also are going to have to keep up with all the updates that are going to happen from this point. Because again, we have unsealing. That will probably be stopped. We have a gag order that will probably be put back in place. FOIAs that will probably no longer be able to be responded to because of the case now doing this. The WSU lawsuit is probably going to have to be put on hold. The EWU lawsuit with Moscow will probably continue because it's based off of situations that were already occurring. But if something shakes with that and they have to go back in and reduce the way that they redact stuff, if the case goes forward, then whatever they do end up doing with that, they still won't be able to release anything. And then we have the leak that, again, had an administrative investigation that turned into a criminal investigation, that Turvey was claiming that he was getting calls from the law enforcement about it. And Ann Taylor was telling him to go ahead and talk to the cops about the situation. And that's the last that we heard of that. And that was the first in a long time that we've heard of that. And we also have the Idaho Statesman that's been trying to get the finances for the defense team. And the defense team has been fighting that. There's stuff shaking in that one too, that I don't know what would happen with that. Because if we'll see, but this is now a whole different case number. So I don't know exactly, like, again, how that would work. It's like I don't know still if Ann Taylor is still representing him for like the unsealing and everything else that's going on, and then now we have this other person. I'm just not really quite sure. Let me check the 2 people that I know usually have. Well, actually, let me check here first and see if it mentions anything. Let me check and see if they have a name yet. Because I would like to see who they appointed, who Hippler appointed. It just says Ada County Public Defender. It doesn't say who. Now let me check The two people that I know would have this if there was already a document out. Sarah. Bro. Literally 2 minutes ago, Sarah posted the damn document. Look at this. At 3:30, it is 3:33. Right here. Order appointing state public defender. For those of you that are on Twitter, and also you should have seen, I added a couple of different YouTube channels to my Nightbot. You should have seen a couple of different names come across the screen today. Is this going to get bigger? No. Okay. So this came in today. Signed this morning. It says, order appointing counsel. Before the court is petitioner's motion for appointment of counsel in connection with his petition for post-conviction relief. And there's a footnote. Petitioner also filed a motion to proceed on partial payment of court fees. However, there are no filing fees for a petition for post-conviction relief. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that know about my cough, I did finally get my doctor to give me a different blood pressure medicine, and I'll be trying it for the first time tomorrow. So maybe this weird thing here and the cough will go away. I forgot all about that until that just happened. It was the first time this whole time. Okay, anyway. Petitioner's motion for appointment of counsel is granted pursuant to Idaho Code 194904. The state public defender shall appoint counsel to represent petitioner in all post-conviction proceedings under case number CV0126150994. And then this is just the certificate of service. So I guess we'll find out soon who it's going to be, and then we'll be able to see who exactly they are. Yeah, he did. He did get assigned an attorney for the post-conviction relief. We just don't know who it is yet. Thank you for the 5RV. Thank you. Hey, MDP. I got your email. I'm glad you liked it. For those of you who were curious about my shawl the other day, MDP over here is the one who hand crocheted me that beautiful shawl with the skulls like on the ends of it, and it's got skull in the embroidery, and it's freaking fantastical. That's MDP right there. Yeah, there's just a lot going on in that series. It's going to be interesting to see what they put together for sure. It's going to be interesting for sure. Okay. It is 3:30. I'm going to go ahead and get dinner done early. I don't know what I'm making yet. I'm going to go figure it out right now. Get some stuff done. I will be back at 7:45 for us to go over the damn Netflix show. Keep in mind again, I cannot show it on the screen. They have already tried to F with me once in the past 24 hours. I'm not dealing with them today. But I also plan after this, at some point in the next few days or so, to repost the clip of us going over the damn trailer by itself as a clip, like as a video, and then disputing it the way that I should have disputed this last one, but I wanted them to release their bullshit because the information in that video was everything relevant as to like the point of it being over, all the way up to the first portion of this interview that we just reviewed. It was everything up to date. The trailer was old news. But it needs to be out there because that damn trailer was placed on YouTube, and Netflix should have to follow YouTube's rules. So I'm going to post it again as a video, and then with that one, I'm going to dispute it and fight it. Because F you. If you put it on YouTube, you should have to follow the guidelines that we have to follow. And if I'm doing your review stuff the same way that I'm doing everybody else's review stuff on YouTube, you've really got no stance. So I cannot show it on the screen. It'll be the same as always. We'll be listening either together and y'all be in chat while a lot of times I can sit here and pretty much word for word, verbatim, repeat what someone is saying. I do that a lot when it comes to the police, the law enforcement people that are speaking. there's really not a lot of stopping in these because I try to just regurgitate what I'm hearing as much as possible because a lot of people can't watch them. So that's what we try to do anyway. But again, I can't show it on the screen. So that's just how that's going to have to work. But I'm going to go ahead and get off of here now. I need to get up and walk for a minute because Cyree, again, I ask, is he going through a midlife crisis? Really wondering if he's going through a midlife crisis because this is some crazy shit. Crazy shit. Yes, I keep forgetting to post the channel P.O. Box. I will post it in the community tab today. I really, really will. Okay, you guys. I will see you guys later. Try to breathe. And if anything else pops, posts, does, whatever, blah, 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 we'll talk about it right before we start going over Netflix. I will do some clip out things later because we have gone over a lot of information and post them all separately like I normally do. But yeah, I'll see you guys in a little while. Thank you again for the super stickers and the super chats, the memberships, the people that joined on their own. You guys are very much appreciated, but more importantly, your time and that you care about how stupid this shit is because damn, this shit is stupid. Oh my gosh. I will see all you guys in a couple of hours. See y'all.